Hi there, I'm Don Magee, your neighborhood-friendly realtor here in beautiful Nova Scotia. If you've been thinking about buying property here as a non-resident or planning a move to our beautiful province, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about moving to Nova Scotia and how to buy a home here as a non-resident. Whether you're planning to live here full-time, seasonally, or just exploring your options for now, this guide's going to give you clarity and confidence to make that move. Now, Nova Scotia is more than just a stunning place to visit. It's an incredible place to live. We're a small but mighty province on Canada's Atlantic coast. We're made up of mainland Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island, and over 3,000 smaller islands. Our capital is Halifax, and it's known for vibrant art scenes, great universities, and one of the highest standards of living in Atlantic Canada. But what really makes Nova Scotia special is our sense of community and our connection to the coast. Whether it's fresh seafood, historic harbors, or that calming ocean breeze, this is a lifestyle you won't find anywhere else. And more people are discovering that, thanks to our immigration-friendly programs like the Nova Scotia Nominee Program and the Atlantic Immigration Program. We've had a steady rise in newcomers for the past several years calling this place home. From 2012 to 2019, immigration to Nova Scotia tripled, and now we welcome over 7,000 new immigrants each year. The best part? Over 70% of them stay. And now that tells you something about how welcoming this province really is. Now let's talk about the big question. Can you buy property in Nova Scotia if you're not a Canadian citizen or permanent resident? The short answer is yes, but there are some important rules you need to know. Canada currently has a federal foreign buyers ban in place. This law, called the Prohibition on the Purchase of Residential Property by Non-Canadian Act, took place January 1st, 2023 and has been extended till January 2027. This means non-Canadians are not allowed to purchase certain types of residential properties in populated urban areas. But wait, there are exemptions. The ban only applies to homes in places called census metropolitan areas, or census agglomerations, basically larger towns and cities. Many parts of Nova Scotia fall outside these zones. So if you're looking at a coastal cottage or a rural, semi-rural area, the foreign buyers ban probably won't apply to you at all. Some other exemptions are if you have a valid work permit or if you've lived in Canada for a while, you still might be eligible to buy. Same goes for certain international students and refugees, so it's important to speak to a professional about your specific situation. Also, if you're buying multi-unit properties with 4 or more units, there are generally exemptions there too. That can create a great opportunity if you're looking at real estate from an investment standpoint. Now, the bottom line, the ban is still in place, but it doesn't close all doors. And depending on what you want to buy and your immigration status, there are certainly options available to you. That's where having a local realtor comes in. We can guide you through what exemptions are available to you. Now let's talk about taxes, because there's a few extra ones you need to know about if you're not currently a Nova Scotia resident. As of April 1st, 2025, the Nova Scotia government has implemented a non-resident deed transfer tax. It's 10% applied to non-resident buyers, and that's on top of the 1.5% deed transfer tax that the municipalities charge. So let's break that down. If you want to buy a Halifax home for around $400, a Nova Scotia resident would pay about $6,000 in deed transfer tax. If you're non-residents and don't plan to move here within 6 months, you'll pay an additional $40,000. So that's $46,000 in deed transfer tax due on closing. But wait, let me explain about the exemption. If you do end up moving here to Nova Scotia within 6 months, then that 10% tax can be waived. You just need to provide proof of Nova Scotia driver's license or health card with your Nova Scotia address. And that applies to your partner or spouse who may be buying the resident as well. It's also good to know that the province did scrap a plan for a 2% annual residential tax for non-resident owners. Now let's fast forward to a few years when you've bought a property, maybe a vacation home or an investment, and now you want to sell. If you're still a non-resident at that point, there's a special process you will need to follow. Canada requires the buyer or buyer's lawyer to withhold a portion of the sale of proceeds, usually around 25%, unless you can get a tax certificate from Canada Revenue Agency. This is to cover any capital gains tax that you might owe in the following tax season. Once you file your tax return and it's calculated what's actually owed, you may actually get a refund for anything that was withheld. If the property was actually a rental for you, then the withholding amount may be closer to 50%. Yes, there's a process, but it's good to have an accountant or lawyer on your side to explain all this and make it manageable. If you're a new immigrant with permanent residency status or work permit, many banks will treat you just like any other Canadian borrower. And there are even new to Canada programs that offer mortgages with as little as 5 to 10% down payment. If you're buying from abroad or not planning to immigrate, you'll typically need to put down 35% or more. Some U.S. buyers can get away with 20% if their finances are strong, but generally it's still 35%. And also that down payment needs to be in a Canadian banking institution for 30 to 90 days before purchase. Banks will want to see a proof of income, and some may ask you to show a year's worth of mortgage payments in reserves. Often the home sellers will also want to see proof of ability to purchase or a pre-approval letter as well. If this sounds overwhelming, don't worry. A mortgage broker familiar with non-resident lending can walk you through it all and shop around for the best lending options. All right, let me review so I can share you a few tips to make your purchase smooth and stress-free. First, do your homework on where you want to live in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia has a lot of variety of landscapes and lifestyle, from urban Halifax to coastal living on the South Shore or farming in the Annapolis Valley. Second, get pre-approved for your mortgage, or get prepared a proof of funds letter before you start shopping. It will make your offer stronger and more appealing to sellers, plus it speeds up the closing process. Third, factor in all the costs. That includes the non-resident deed tax, house inspection, lawyer's fees. Bank on about 3 to 5% of the purchase price for these costs. And work with a local realtor who understands the ins and outs of a non-residential purchase. And finally, work with a local realtor. One who understands the ins and outs of a non-residential purchase. Someone who can be your eyes on the ground and arrange those inspections and virtual tours, connecting you to right professionals and making the process as smooth as possible. I've been licensed 21 years now in Nova Scotia as a realtor, and I've helped tons of people across the U.S. and around the world, so I'd love to help you too. Please do not hesitate with any questions you have about investment property or moving here full-time. I'd be happy to help. I'm just a message away to answer any of your questions about moving to Nova Scotia. This has been The Real Deal with Dawn.